Hello, everybody. Welcome to outside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. A cold Friday morning for Ohio State and a wild Friday morning for Ohio State. That's Tim May. I'm Austin Ward. Lettermen Row, as we reported this morning, Chase Young will miss the Maryland game and an indefinite suspension beyond that as he and the school are looking into an alleged NCAA violation. I guess we could say it actually was one if he's going to miss this game, but Chase Young has personally responded within the last hour or so this morning that it was a loan from a family friend, and he had repaid it in full, and I think that's a key thing right there, repaid in full, as Ohio State Tim investigates this. If he's going to return this year, those might be the operative words.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the sense right now, the sense you get is these kind of situations usually end up being probably a multiple game situation. Whether it's 2 or 3, that's kind of critical.
Yeah.
If it's 4, my goodness.
3 and 4 are the
because you know where that takes you. That takes you past Maryland and Rutgers to Penn State and Michigan. But yeah, I've always said this. I even tweeted this a while ago when I retweeted Chase Young's. I get them all mixed up. Chad, there's been a lot of players in my past, man. But Chase Young's statement, he's a stand-up guy. We've all figured that out about him. They did wrong. What the loan was for? You're hearing all kinds of conjecture, whether it was for his family to make the Rose Bowl trip last year, which is a story unto itself, etc. But he stood up, made a statement about it, didn't want a lot of murky stuff floating around out there, and has moved on. We'll see where this goes. I understood he addressed the team briefly on, I think, Thursday to let them know he wouldn't be around, kind of clear some things with them. I think they think he's going to be back. But we'll see.
The word around the Woody from your reporting and my reporting has been optimism that Ohio State can get this resolved. I know the first thing that leaps to people's mind, and I've been asked this a number of times, is he done? Is he going to get ready for the NFL draft? Is his season over? And all indications at this point are that is not the case. Now, this is out of Ohio State's hands and that the NCAA will determine the appeal. But if those operative words that I mentioned, that he repaid the loan in full, he should be able to return. I think that's why that optimism is there. Now, the question then becomes, he's working out here this week. He didn't practice with the team. He's not going to play. How long this thing will linger for Ohio State, as you said, is it 3 or 4 games? I think what's most fascinating to me about this is you talked about him being a stand-up guy. He's a captain.
Yes.
Ohio State just had this situation last year with an injury where Nick Bosa went on and decided that it was in his best interest to prepare for the draft. That does not seem to be what Chase Young wants to do. Ohio State is undefeated, by the way, and trying to win the college football playoff. So it's funny to me a little bit how the NCAA makes all this progress with name and likeness, and now the best player in the country is dealing with a sort of name and likeness situation that is threatening the rest of his season.
Yeah, but as I've said many times today already, rules are rules.
Right.
And once you sign on the dotted line for anything and the rules are laid out for you, you agree to play by those rules.
Sure.
The interesting thing, like you said, is as he said, he took a loan, paid it back. Where is the damage? And but then the big question is, whether or not Ohio State faces any jeopardy. That's more the big question for me right now. Is do they face any jeopardy from a standpoint of possible vacated games or whatnot? You never know where these kind of things go.
Yeah, and it's the first step is always to rule a player ineligible while the investigation goes on. Ohio State would not want to play the Maryland game and then find out afterwards that Chase Young was ineligible. I think if you look at some of the conjecture, whether this Rose Bowl thing is exactly the case or not, that could potentially, and he repaid in the summer, then that's a situation where Ohio State would not have to be forfeiting any games that have happened to this point in the season. I don't want to get too far down that rumor-mongering road. But
that's a rabbit hole.
But if you're looking at those possible ramifications and what it means for Ohio State's season, those are the key words that you have to focus on: the summer, the loan, and moving forward with being ineligible right now until the NCAA makes a ruling. I think, Tim, though, it's not going to affect anything for Maryland or Rutgers. We can talk about what it might mean for Penn State, but I think the biggest damage here for Chase Young, which I think is a little bit unfortunate if he's found to be eligible down the road, is that this Heisman campaign might be over.
Yeah, you miss a game like this. He's 0.5 of a sack away from tying Vernon Gholston's season record at Ohio State of 14 sacks. That's sort of who cares at this point in that regard. He was going to break it one way or the other.
Right.
But then past that, your reputation takes a hit. And, Tua Tagovailoa missed last week's game for Alabama because of a high ankle sprain. Well, that's a different scenario.
Right.
But, we're talking about the future like we know it. We don't really know how many games Chase is going to miss at this point, whether or not, like you said, they might just deem his career at Ohio State is over. That's the big question. And what kind of sword does Ohio State have to fall on? Does he have to fall on to satisfy people? That's the big question. But, it's just the fact he took a loan and repaid it, like you said, puts it into a different category in my book. And the thing about it is, too, a lot of times you think, well, this is just an old-time or a long-time family friend helping you out in a time of, well, not need's the right word, but,
just helping.
Just helping. Question is, what's wrong with that? Well, as we're finding out, there can be a lot of things wrong with that.
And those rules, as I said, with the NCAA are always a moving target, but it was laid out specifically. That's not the kind of thing that is allowable, or at least the NCAA is now going to rule on how permissible it might be. All we know right now at Lettermen Row with Tim May, Jeremy Birmingham's reporting, and my own, is that Chase Young will miss the Maryland game. And beyond that, we're going to continue to follow this developing story as it plays out, again, as the #1 team in the country gets ready for a game and a Big Ten championship push. All right, we'll follow this as it continues to develop with Chase Young. The most dominant player in college football will miss the Maryland game for Ohio State. Lettermen Row will continue to have full coverage of Chase Young, Ohio State, and everything else this weekend here in Columbus. For Tim May, I'm Austin Ward. We'll see you this weekend.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Letterman Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and we got Buckeye IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.